Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Well, this week we covered one of the most evil kings in all of Torah. In the years that come, there will be many evil kings, but this one tried to use witchcraft to curse all of the people before they come into their inheritance. So it's kind of fitting that an entire reading is named after King Balak. This week the Torah takes a left turn and completely leaves the camp of the children of Israel. Moses is not the star in this unique narrative. Instead, we have the most notorious non-Jewish prophet in the Torah, a man who talks to Adonai, but is more interested in filling his pockets than in leading the people to God. How does this happen? How does a man who talks to God get led astray? 2 words: money and notoriety. If Balaam were around today, he would trade his donkey in for an all-electric luxury SUV with the driver dressed in black with sunglasses and a Rolex on his wrist. Balaam might even have a smooth TV program on the weekends with donors clubs like the Diamond Club or the Platinum Club. You give $5,000 and your dreams will come true. Balaam will be a master of social media and have the attention of presidents, princes, and a loyal following. When he walks into the room, cameras would flash like Derek Jeter walking up to bat at Yankee Stadium. Now, I don't want to give you the wrong impression. We should never cast stones at God's anointed servants. My example is not about a preacher or an evangelist, but rather about the kind of man who knows God or godly ways, but exploits people's fears and hopes for profit. Balaam knew God. He was acquainted with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And you'll see that as we read. Balaam lived in a city called Peor. It is in today's southern Turkey. Biblical scholars put the city about 3 weeks' journey by animal. If you're an emissary of a king, of course, you rode the finest animals, so that time could be cut in half. Picture yourself in those days. Life in those days was nothing like our fast-paced, I want it now society. They move at the pace of their animals in caravans. The upper classes use camels in the Negev and the deserts, and donkeys on dirt roads. Horses were a luxury item, and mostly used as a military asset. If you neglected your animal, you were walking. The finest SUV of the period was the donkey. For long distance travel and transport of heavy burdens, even better than horses for moving big loads. Balak, the king of Moab, was in approximately modern-day Jordan. The children of Israel were being led along the east coast of the Jordan, and they were close to 1 million people moving in orderly camps with livestock. Most of the cities at the time in the Holy Land to be were probably less than 20 or 30,000 people. So here you have over 1 million people moving with livestock and moving in and consuming resources. So the people of Moab knew that the children of Israel had been successful everywhere they went. And now they were at the gates of Moab. Balak, the king, panicked. When Balak, son of Zippor, realized that all Bnei Israel had what they had done to the Amorites, this is in Numbers 22, 2-4, Moab became terrified because there were so many people. Moab was filled with dread because of Bnei Israel. Moab said to the elders of Midian, "The multitude will lick up everything around us like the ox licks up the grass of the field." Now Balak, son of Zippor, was king of Moab at that time. Balak sends his messengers to Balaam at his home in Peor. Look, now our people has come out of Egypt. See, now they cover the surface of the earth and are settling beside me. Come now, curse this people before me, because they are too strong for me. Perhaps I may be able to defeat them and drive them away from the country. I know that whoever you bless will be blessed, and whoever you curse will be cursed. It's in Numbers 22, verses 5 through 6. You see, Balaam knew something of the God of Israel, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He also knew enough to fear him. He said to them, "Spend the night here. I will give you an answer, just as Adonai speaks to me." So the officials of Moab stayed with Balaam. God came to Balaam and asked, "Who are these men with you?" Balaam said to God, "Balak, son of Zippor, king of Moab, sent word to me. See, the people coming out of Egypt cover the surface of the land. Come now, curse them for me. Perhaps I will be able to fight against them and drive them away." God said to Balaam, "Do not go with them. Do not curse them, for they are blessed." Numbers 22, 8 through 12. We know the story. Balaam sets out on his his trusted donkey. The sages say animals can see spiritual things. We know from modern science, animals can see and smell things that are invisible to us. They can sense an earthquake coming. They can smell disease and tumors in our bodies. And our domesticated animals will defend their masters when attacked. They can tell you when a rainstorm is coming. Alright, so some of us with bad joints can do that too. But let's skip ahead in the story. The donkey saw the angel of Adonai standing on the road, drawn sword in hand. So the donkey turned off the road into the field. And Balaam had to beat the donkey to get it back on the road. Then the angel of Adonai stood on the road where it became narrow as it passed along the vineyards and had stone walls on both sides. The donkey saw that the angel of Adonai pushed up against the donkey saw the angel of Adonai and pushed up against the wall, crushing Balaam's foot against the wall. So he beat it again. The angel of Adonai moved ahead and stood in a place so tight there was no room to turn either right or left. Again, the donkey saw the angel of Adonai, and this time he laid down under Balaam and made him so angry that he hit the donkey with his stick. Numbers 22, verses 23 through 27. But Adonai enabled the donkey to speak, and it said to Balaam, "What have I done to you to beat me these 3 times?" Balaam said to the donkey, "It's because you've been making a fool of me. I wish I had a sword in my hand. I would kill you on the spot." The donkey said to Balaam, "I'm your donkey, right? You've ridden me all your life, right? Have I ever treated you like this before?" "No," he admitted. Then Adonai opened Balaam's eyes so that he could see the angel of Adonai standing in the way with his drawn sword in his hand, and he bowed his head and fell on his face. The angel of Adonai said to him, "Why did you hit your donkey 3 times like that?" "I have come out here to bar your way because you are rushing to oppose me." The donkey saw me and turned aside 3 times. And indeed, if she hadn't turned away from me, I would have killed you by now and saved it alive. Balaam said to the angel of Adonai, "I have sinned. I didn't know that you were standing on the road to block me. Now, therefore, if what I am doing displeases you, I will go back." But the angel of Adonai said to Balaam, "No, go on with the men, but you are to say only what I tell you to say." So Balaam went along with the princes of Balak. Numbers 22, 38, and 35. I have to wonder, Do you see your life as blessed? We know things about the children of Israel that Balaam doesn't know. Only a short time ago, Korah had raised the upper rebellion. Moses had become so frustrated with the grumbling and complaining that he struck the rock instead of speaking to the rock and forfeited his chance to go into the land of Israel. The children of Israel were blessed in the desert, despite all their shortcomings. So I ask you again, are you blessed? Do you feel blessed? We'll come back to that question later. What did Adonai say? The people are blessed. The children of Israel had periodically challenged the love of God with grumbling and complaining and outright rebellion. Yet Adonai's love for his people remained. When he grew angry, he removed the offenders, sometimes warning people around them to step back, get out of the way. There will come a time when he will ask the people who currently have his spirit one day to do the same, to come out of Babylon, my people. But that time is not today. Balaam was not able to curse them, and instead offered powerful blessings that the people of Adonai recite to this day. Let's look at the first three of Adonai's blessings, delivered through the fallen prophets for hire. The first blessing, Numbers 23, 7 through 10. He made his pronouncement, Balak, the king of Moab, brings me from Aram, from the eastern hills, saying, come, curse Yaakov for me. Come and denounce Israel. How am I to curse those whom God has not cursed? How am I to denounce those whom Adonai has not denounced? From the top of the rocks I see them. From the hills I behold them. Yes, a people that will dwell alone and not think itself one of the nations. Who has counted the dust of Yaakov, or numbered the ashes of Israel? May I die as the righteous die. May my end be like theirs. In Hebrew, that question comes out as, who can count the dust of Jacob, or number even a fourth of Israel? Now we all know we can count approximately the number of people with Jewish ancestry, but we can't even count a fourth of all of Israel, because they have been scattered into every nation on earth, every tribe and every people. So yes, God's word stands proven. We can't even count a fourth of Israel. Getting back to the Parashah. Now Balak was angry. He said, Balak said to Balaam, what have you done to me? To curse my enemies is why I brought you. And here you have totally blessed them. Numbers 23:11. Let's look at the second blessing. This is in Numbers 23, 18 through 24. Then Balaam made his pronouncement. Get up, Balak, and listen. Turn your ears to me, son of Zippor. God is not a human who lies, or a mortal who changes his mind. When he says something, he will do it. When he makes a promise, he will fulfill it. Look, I'm ordered to bless when he blesses. I can't reverse it. No one has seen guilt in Yaakov, or perceived perversity in Israel. Adonai, their God, is with them and acclaimed as king among them. God, who brought them out of Egypt, gives them the strength of a wild ox. Thus, one can't put a spell on Yaakov. No magic will work against Israel. It can now be said of Yaakov and Israel, what is this that God has done? Here is a people rising up like a lioness. Like a lion, he rears himself up. He will not lie down till he eats up the prey and drinks the blood of the slain. About this time, Balak is starting to realize that he can't convince Adonai against his will. So he says to Balaam, obviously you won't curse them, but at least don't bless them. Numbers 23:25. Let's take a moment. Adonai carefully chooses his words. So let's stop and consider what he says. When he makes a promise, he will fulfill it. Is not the Ruach Elohim a promise of redemption in your life? Number 2, the Lord their God is with them, and the shout of the king is among them. Now we know the shout of the king is none other than the King of all kings, the conquering Messiah, the root of Jesse, Yeshua, the Lion of the tribe of Judah. And he will be revealed. He was going to be revealed in the days to come. And number 3, for there is no spell against Jacob, and no divination against Israel. This should draw to mind the scripture that says, no weapon formed against them will prosper. Number 4, it will now be said of Jacob and Israel, what great things God has done. The whole world saw to the day of his prophetic words. The children of Israel were restored to the land, and the people touched the walls of Jerusalem once more after oppression, many years of oppression. The Christian evangelical world said, what great things God has done in our sight. It was all over the news. I too said the same things in my heart when I read the newspaper headlines displayed on the walls at the yeshiva where I was working. Headlines many years later. And reading them, I remember the prophecies of Daniel. Now let's look at the third blessing. The third blessing was unlike all the others. The spirit of Elohim fell on Balaam. Numbers 24:1-9. When Balaam saw that it pleased Adonai to bless Israel, he didn't go as the other times to make use of divination, but looked out toward the desert. Balaam raised his eyes and saw Israel encamped, tribe by tribe. Then the Spirit of God came upon him, and he made his pronouncement. This is the speech of Balaam, son of Peor, the speech of the man whose eyes have been opened, the speech of him who hears God's words, who sees what Shaddai sees, who has fallen, yet has open eyes. How lovely are your tents, Yaakov, your encampments, Israel. They spread out like valleys, like gardens by the riverside, like succulent aloes planted by Adonai, like cedar trees next to the water. Water will flow from their branches. Their seed will have water aplenty. Their king will be higher than Agag, and his kingdom lifted high. God, who brought them out of Egypt, gives them the strength of a wild ox. They will devour the nations opposing them, break their bones, pierce them with their arrows. When they lie down, they crouch like a lion, or like a lioness. Who dares to rouse it? Blessed be all who bless you. Cursed be all who curse you. Balak blazed with fury against Balaam. He stuck his hands together and said, Balaam, I summoned you to curse my enemies, but here you have done nothing but bless them. 3 times already. Now, you had better escape to your own place. I planned to reward you very well, but now Adonai has deprived you of payment. Numbers 24. So let's go back to that question. Do you feel blessed? I'm asking this to each one of you to ask yourself, from the teens to the elders, do you see yourself as blessed? You know, just after Yeshua had taken 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, and fed 5,000 men, not including women and children. He sent his disciples on a boat in the lake. Right away, Yeshua made the disciples get into the boat and go ahead of him to the other side, while he sent the crowds away. After he had sent the crowds away, he went on to the hillside by himself to pray. And when evening came, he was there alone. But the boat was already a long way from land, tossed around by the waves, for the wind was against it. Now in the 4th watch of the night, Yeshua came to them, walking on the sea. But when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were terrified, saying, "It's a ghost!" And they cried out with fear. But immediately Yeshua spoke to them, saying, "Take courage. I am. Don't be afraid." Answering, Peter said to him, "Master, if it's you, command me to come to you on the water." And he said, "Come." And Peter got out of the boat and walked on the water to go to Yeshua. But seeing the wind, he became terrified. And beginning to sink, he cried out, saying, "Master, save me." Immediately, Yeshua reached out his hand and grabbed him. And he said to him, "O you of little faith, why did you doubt?" When they got into the boat, the wind ceased. And those in the boat worshipped him, saying, "You really are Ben Elohim." That account is in Matthew 14, 22 and 33. We all have storms in our lives. Yeshua has blessed us and told us to get into the boat, to walk his path. He has given us Ruach Elohim and told us to trust him. Storms will come with powerful winds, trials that threaten to blow away our finances, peace in our households, and even penetrate the minds of our children. We start to look down at the waves. When once they pass beneath our feet like the tide going out to sea, now the waves tug at our feet, and then our legs, and we start to sink. That's the time. You need to ask yourself, are you blessed? Let me answer that for you. Yes, you are blessed. Just as Peter was blessed when he stepped out of the boat and did not sink. You see, Peter walked on the water before his fears took hold of him and his trust slipped. Will there be storms, wind, and trials? Yes, there will be. But we are not alone walking out on the sea of trials and troubles. The one who told us to come, Ben Elohim Yeshua, is right there with us. All we have to do is reach out our hands and ask for help. And our God is faithful to deliver. Some of the children of Israel did not trust in Elohim, even when all the signs and wonders all around them, yet they were blessed. If you feel blessed, praise Elohim. In the middle of the storms, praise Elohim. When you lie down at night, praise Elohim. When you wake up in the morning, praise Elohim. When you feel the winds and the waves and the water at your feet, praise Elohim, because a blessing is near. Yeshua said, "Take courage. I am. Don't be afraid." Praise Elohim in all of your troubles, in all of your triumphs. Praise Elohim. Praise his great name. Trust in him. Hebrew 4 states it this way: the good news has also been proclaimed to us, just as it was to them. But the message they heard didn't do them any good, because those who heard it did not combine it with trust. For it is we who have trusted enter the rest. For it is we who have trusted who enter the rest. It is just as he said, in my anger, I swore that they would not enter my rest. He swore this, even though his works have been in existence since the founding of the universe. For there is a place where it is said, concerning the seventh day, and God rested on the seventh day from all his works. And once more, our present text says, they will not enter my rest. Therefore, since it still remains for some to enter it, and those who received the good news earlier did not enter, he again fixes a certain day, today, saying through David, so long afterwards, in the text already given. Today, if you hear God's voice, don't harden your hearts. For if Joshua had given rest, God would not have spoken later of another day. So there remains a Sabbath keeping for God's people. For the one who has entered God's rest has also rested from his own works, just as God from his. Therefore, let us do our best to enter that rest, so that no one will fall short because of the same kind of disobedience. Let me say something for a moment about Bible study. It's important we feed ourselves with the word of Elohim every single day. Doesn't matter the time, how much, or when. Just every day. Just sitting at a table with loved ones adds flavor to a meal. So awesome does studying the word together with believers. We who Zoom on Thursday nights know this very well. I felt it myself this week. My conscience was so convicted that I had to change. I learned from the believers and from the Spirit, and we share these experiences as a family. The word of Elohim is living. In Hebrews, the writer says, see, the word of God is alive. It is at work, and it's sharper than any double-edged sword. And here's where it works. My own words. It cuts right through to where soul meets spirit, and joints meet marrow. And it is quick to judge the inner reflections and the attitudes of the heart. Let me say that again. Because a Bible study, studying the Bible, studying the Word, cuts through to where the soul meets your spirit, where your joints meet marrow, and is quick to judge the inner reflections, your thoughts, and attitudes of your heart. Before God, nothing created is hidden, but all things are naked, open to the eyes of Him to whom we must render an account. That's from Hebrews 4. So what do I say to you today? Praise Elohim in your trials, in your triumphs, in your victories, and in your sad times. Praise Elohim. Praise His great name, and trust in Him. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.